Welcome to the Undrafted, Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanger. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Undrafted Uncensored. Everybody just turned to a circle for a minute. There we go. That was random.
Yeah,
Do that again.
Welcome to the Undrafted.
Well, let's not do the whole thing again.
there we go.
Good.
Thank you, Joe, for the intro. Much appreciated.
Yeah, sure, anytime.
Welcome in, everyone. Where apparently my internet is about as trustworthy as the Atlanta Falcons head coach right now.
Oh, well, they don't have one, so I'd say that's pretty trustworthy.
I mean, we can trust what the Atlanta Falcons are going to do.
Can we though?
I would say the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah,
I would say it's less trustworthy than the Tennessee Titans front office.
Yeah,
I should have gone Titans.
The left hand is not talking to the right hand over there.
Yeah, or Nick Saban, you know.
Oh, it was talked. That was talked about.
That was coming. That was inevitable. We all
He was insisting. He was very adamant that was not happening. So I think it's really funny that he immediately retired.
Hey, two funny things on Nick Saban. Well, Nick Saban and oh my goodness, why am I blanking on the other Pete Carroll? Both have now coached for 50 years. They started at the same time, 50 years each, 100 years in between them. And did you also see Shedeur Sanders once Nick Saban retired? What he did? He's out there recruiting for CU.
He's like, come hang out.
He put a post in Alabama. He put Alabama players type in the chat, and he's looking to bring some guys up to Boulder to get a little Rocky Mountain High.
That's beautiful.
So, just two side notes. 100 years of experience between Carroll. I know we'll get into Carroll, but Carroll and Saban coaching, and then Shedeur getting on the recruiting trail right away.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, that's been CU's strength is the recruiting. So keeping that up, that's fucking awesome. I love the idea of just pillaging Alabama, which everyone's going to do now. And all those kids are going to leave. Like, there'll still be a few kids there for sure.
Yeah.
And Milroe's still a fun quarterback to watch, but like they're going to be a shell of what they used to be. Like there was good reason before why Georgia was the favorite to win the championship next year. But oh my God, they are the overwhelming favorite now because they're going to get probably most of those kids because they won't have to move very far. But yeah, dude, anybody that we can get, especially on the offensive or defensive line from Alabama, I'm going to take that.
Good place to start. I mean,
yeah.
There's nothing better than picking the corpse of your dead enemies. So,
I mean, we had. I know I had said plenty of times, like, we can't get the same players as Alabama, but now you can.
Literally can.
There's a couple kids over there that are thinking real hard right now, trying to get Prime's phone number, and
unless they're trying to call Prime to coach Alabama, and then don't do that.
No, he's still ours. He still belongs in Denver, so deal with it. Boulder, I'm sorry.
Denver
also,
Metro
though,
area.
that's a good point. Thank God Nick Saban chose this year to retire, because if Deion had been here for a couple more years, you could totally see him being like, yeah, let's move up to the SEC now. That's going to be pretty cool. Like that is the biggest thing that scares me about him potentially leaving this program is wanting to go to a higher tier, better quality, probably SEC school. So like that actually kind of makes me really happy that happened right now. Like that still might end up being where he goes within 5-6 years or so, but at least for now, he's not going to leave after year one. So
I mean, the Big 12, the Big 12's not big enough for Deion, huh?
12 is not big enough for Deion.
No.
You are 21.
Oh man,
Well,
yeah,
speaking of-
that is very true because his sons can't transfer anymore.
Nope,
Yeah.
they're done.
No, he's coaching them, period. But once they're gone, who knows?
Speaking of who knows, did you guys get a chance to watch the three Ps give their little press conference yesterday?
I mean, I've heard pretty much all of it.
Bits and pieces, but not all of it. No. Yeah.
There was one piece that stood out to me, and again, I don't. You guys know how I feel about Sean Payton. I don't trust that dude. I think it's a snake in the weeds, and I don't trust him. Why are you saying now or making it sound like Russ isn't gone yet?
Because you're trying to make a trade.
Yeah, they're trying to save face.
Who's stupid enough to, you're not dealing with Montfort?
No, but
The Cleveland Browns signed Deshaun Watson for more money after not playing for 2 years.
Yeah, and then I got Joe Flacco leading them to the playoffs.
Yeah,
exactly. They're a quarterback away. You could easily convince. It's too bad they already have Deshaun Watson because you could totally convince them that Russell Wilson would be possibly the answer. Maybe as a backup if they think that Watson's too fragile. But no, Russell Wilson has a pedigree of winning in the NFL. And him kind of being banished with the Broncos these past couple of years, not everybody watched it. And a lot of people have kind of discounted last year because of Nathaniel Hackett and how terrible the Jets have looked this year too. I think there's plenty of teams that can convince themselves, especially for how little they'll have to give up to get like all they're basically taking on is that salary, which is massive for sure.
Well, the Broncos don't have a pick after the first round until the third round.
Yeah, so they're going to want to
third, fourth round, something like that.
Yeah, they're going to want to compile as many picks as they can. But like,
and
you might have to give one up. No, you're looking for like a third, fourth, fifth. You're looking for anything that you can get at this
ammunition, and you're looking for future draft picks.
Yeah, you're looking for somebody to take on that salary, so you don't have to pay all of that right away.
But that's what they're trying to do. Are they going to be successful? I mean, you said who's stupid enough. I mean, look at what Carolina has done. Even like their ownership is just a cluster.
Yeah, it's a cluster.
We mentioned Vrabel leaving Tennessee. Maybe especially with that run-heavy type of offense. I know Derrick Henry's probably gone, but Tajay Spears has looked good in spurts out there. Maybe they say, hey, Russ could run our simple offense, and we have a weapon like Deshaun Watson he could throw to. Or Deshaun Watson. DeAndre Hopkins.
There you go.
Everyone's favorite receiver, Deshaun Watson.
We have a guy in DeAndre Hopkins who can catch anything thrown his way. If you thought Cortland Sutton made some amazing catches, wait till you see what him and Wilson together. Like there are ways. I mean, you said who knows, like who watched how bad it really was. Once again, if you went back and watched Seattle games and Russ playing in Seattle, it wasn't a lot different from what happened in Denver and what has happened in Denver. So when you say we never watched it or we never went back and saw that, that doesn't mean that another NFL team hasn't done that either, or someone hasn't, and they're allured by the Super Bowls and his positive speak. I mean, what's his name who got fired? Frank Reich. I mean, his positive speak got him a lot of jobs and a lot of second chances. I mean, they got cut short.
Yeah.
These things can happen. Carson Wentz had a chance, had multiple chances. So, yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Is it going to be successful? Do I think it's going to be successful? Hell no. I think you would literally have to want to tank your organization team and want to get a top pick in order to make that trade. And I'm talking a top pick, not this year or next year, probably 3 years from now when you can't afford anybody, which is where the Broncos are really headed.
Random question. So here you are. It's March 28th. The draft is in a few weeks.
No, it's January 10th.
Thank you.
We're doing it live.
Appreciate that. Siri, turn off my calendar.
Got your back.
It's March 28th. You're making phone calls. People are, the fish are nibbling, basically. Nobody's biting.
Fish be nibbling.
At what point do you either say, you cut bait, ditch Russ, take the salary cap hit, or
March 1st, just win.
Talk him into renegotiating his contract one more time without his agent. This time, man to man. Bring him into Dove Valley, bring him in some in and out, put a nice spread out there in front of him and say, Russ, let's chat. Let's rap.
I mean, they
say let's rap.
Let's rap. Yes, the kids these days and they're rapping, that hippity hop. They kind of already tried that and it didn't work.
No,
and then
the last meeting,
but he's not gonna take any meetings without his agent. Like
No,
he came in with he got lawyers and his agent. Like Russ is lawyering up now. Like he is playing the long game. Russ is the one that put it out in the media that he was threatened. Like you don't have to threaten somebody with the very fucking obvious. Like if we can't afford to pay you if you get hurt, we're already paying you way too much. We need to figure something out to restructure. And Russ I don't think he's ever going to be willing to restructure or negotiate any of that because he's pissed. He's done with the team.
I don't know. See, he's nice enough that I'm sure there's a way you can get to Russ himself without.
He's nice on the surface.
Noise.
You are not getting to Russ right now alone.
No.
Not right now. No.
Until anything changes, even afterwards, you are not talking to Russ alone. I guarantee you, his lawyers, the NFLPA, everyone around him has told him that you do not talk to the Broncos alone. You do not have this conversation off of the records, like supposedly had happened where he felt threatened. There is no way in hell that his team has not told him in 5,000 different ways that he is not to have any sort of conversation with the Broncos about these things without them there.
That's really comfortable. You wanna come in and sell me a few more of your Russell Wilson hats there? Look like
he'd tell them to come to his house with all of his lawyers, and they could all choose a bathroom to use it on their own terms. They could pick a bathroom to squat in and think about their terrible life decisions, like giving him his contract.
I am glad that he hit the over on touchdowns above bathrooms in his house pretty early this year.
This year.
Yeah, because that just was so sad last year. But yeah, no, I don't think that you're getting. Yeah, the only way that you're negotiating with Russ is by bringing in a second team that you're trading him to, and he's negotiating his contract in order to make it easier on that team that he now has convinced himself that he's going to take to a Super Bowl, whoever the hell that is. So if you can kind of convince him in that sense, like do it for the future, not for the Broncos, but for whoever these guys are. Otherwise, or if you tell him that he's going to stay here and then you're lying and you immediately get rid of him after you restructure.
Well, see, and I was thinking
he's not going to buy that.
I was thinking another lie was they're trying to shop him around because, obviously there's going to be some teams that do need a veteran quarterback, especially with new coaches coming in. And you just keep telling them, we'll keep shopping you around, Russ. We're getting calls.
Well, yeah, no, you're holding steady until the final minute. You are not dropping.
No, you're going
to. You absolutely have to.
So you're gonna. So no, what I'm saying is they're screwing with him basically. Well, they're gonna keep him around because no matter what, he's gonna be a salary cap hit. I still stand by it's cheaper to keep her, but it is what it is.
It's not cheaper to keep her though.
Huh?
But it's not cheaper to keep.
It's not. But it's easier if you keep him because then you can just kind of let him linger around until he demands a trade or just doesn't show up. Either way,
no, he's going to sit there and collect his $50 million a year.
Yeah, but you don't have to
the Broncos
like 5 years.
The Broncos $50 million backup. That's way worse than Matt Flynn not starting a game ahead of Russell Wilson in Seattle.
Yeah.
Like they gave him $100 some odd million, and he did not. Like he played, but he was like Russ just beat him out. That is a way worse situation because then you have a guy making $50 million carrying a clipboard.
And you have even more time. Like you're paying him less money for only 2 years if you get rid of him. As soon as you keep him, you're now signed on to 4. I'm pretty sure is what it is. Like, so as soon as you keep him, you've just doomed your franchise for way longer than a couple years of having about 30-something, 40-something on the books each of those years, which is fucking terrible. You do not want that. But at the end of the day, that is still better. You're going to have way more than that, and you're going to be stuck with Russell Wilson still. Like
You're
he's going to be, causing problems in the media. He's going to be talking through his mouthpieces and, pretending to be all positive at the same time. Like it's going to be a cancer to your locker room unless you start Russell Wilson, which we know Sean Payton doesn't want to do. Really, nobody wants to do. Here in Denver, you just got to pray that somebody else has convinced themselves they can fix him.
So I'm working up on my, I'm tuning up my boxing MMA stuff. And so this is basically, as a boxing match goes, you're getting knocked down in the first round by cutting Russell Wilson, and then you're getting back up and fighting the rest of the match.
It's the rope-a-dope.
If you keep Russell Wilson, you are getting knocked down round after round after round for the first 5-6 rounds, and then you have to recover after that.
Yeah.
Do you take that first round knockdown and you get up and you're able to fight competently for the rest of the match, or do you get knocked down every round where you just don't have a chance year after year after year? So for the Broncos, it's a choice. Yeah, you're going to get your ass kicked that first round, but you have another 5-6 years after that to recover and to make a comeback and, try and win that match. If you want to win the Russell Wilson match, you don't win it by keeping him on your team. You don't keep him on your roster, because all he's doing is hurting you for the multiple years. What is he going to do? Be the $50 million cheerleader the Broncos have been looking for?
No, he's going to be talking shit in the media the whole time.
No, he won't.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? That's all he did in Seattle.
Well,
that was what he did.
Yeah,
he had his people.
Line.
Yeah, he had his people put it out there. Like, it never came from Russell Wilson, so he could pretend to be the overly positive, never say anything bad type guy. But no, that's what he did, is he got the message out there through all of his mouthpieces and all of his fucking, my people call your people. And that's all he ever did. And that's why Seattle fans were so tired of Russell Wilson being there, because they could see what he was doing. And it's not like Pete Carroll was that much better, and now they're both gods. So I just kind of like to giggle at all the smug, asshole-ish Seahawk fans. My goal is that the Broncos can be better than the Seahawks with a $35 million cap hit for Russell Wilson.
I'm just playing devil's advocate because, like I said, guys, I don't trust Sean Payton as far as I can throw him.
Nobody does.
I don't believe him. He's manipulative. He's a douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out in front of the media and tries to play this. Russ and I had a great conversation yesterday, and we smoked the ganja and we enjoyed a nice TP talk and had some fire water, and now here we are. We are at peace with each other. No, you're not.
Well, I don't believe it's probably a piece. The piece is probably like, hey, we're going to try and move you.
Get rid of you.
I want you.
Where do you want to go? Yeah,
that's probably really what it.
You want
to, but you also can't say that in the media. I mean,
and we know why Sean Payton's saying these things. He has to, because the NFLPA is trying to sue the Broncos for the way they've handled the Russ situation. So they now have to.
And again, one more reason why I don't trust Payton.
Well, yeah, but they have to do that because of Russell Wilson, because Russ came out and said he was threatened. Now they're being sued by the NFLPA. So now they have to keep to that story that it's only a football decision, that we've been nothing but amicable to Russell Wilson, which we don't know they haven't. Like, I feel like George Payton reached out, and then I feel like Sean Payton said something to Russ on the side, like, we're going to bench you if you don't fucking do this. Is kind of what I feel like happening, because I agree. I think Sean Payton, I don't trust him. Well, yeah, exactly. But it doesn't matter. We know what they're doing and why they're doing it. He's just saying these things so they don't get fined.
So he can save face because he thinks he's God's gift to coaching. Guy, you ran the exact same offense with a backup quarterback and lost to the Las Vegas Raiders. And actually, you ran it worse with a backup quarterback and still lost the Raiders.
That I don't think. Besides Alex Singleton, it didn't look like many people cared.
No, yeah, game was.
Let's be honest. We can say whatever we want about Sean Payton, but he is a damn good. He's a good football coach. Let's be honest. Like what he did with this team and the wins that he got. I mean, he's a really good football coach. He got way more out of this team than I ever expected. And yeah, it also helped that the Broncos got the lucky bounces. Vance Joseph was able to help turn that defense around. But as Vance Joseph making the defense around was a big part of it. But that's still Sean Payton is the captain of the ship. And for me, he did an unbelievable job with a team that I thought was, like I said, going to be a 4 or 5 win team. So for this team to reach 8 wins, yeah, okay. I mean, much better than I thought.
A playoff spot. 2 games out of taking the West.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
With the team that's below average. So whatever we want to say about Sean Payton, I don't like what he does, but he can coach football. And sometimes
I'll believe it when I see it.
You just saw it
this whole year.
I
saw a coach
below talent.
I saw a coach with flashes of brilliance, but eventually just either he gave up himself or he's going fucking senile.
Well, of course he gave up. The season was over.
During the winning streak.
Well, even then, you knew you weren't really going to go anywhere. And as soon as the bounces didn't go their way against a solid New England defense, once they fumbled that game, it was over. That was it. So once the New England game happened, there was no reason to keep.
But as a coach, you're not supposed to give up on your guys.
You're not giving up on the season's over. You play the young guys. You give people chances. You start little Jordan Humphrey so we can get a sick touchdown. Put that on film. You get a look at guys you wouldn't get a look at, and that's your main priority. You're on to Cincinnati.
Play for the future, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did.
It's not the best way to go about things, obviously, and I'm not saying that Sean Payton is going to be the long-term fit here because he might just asshole his way out of the job. He might be a little bit too old school in the sense that he wants more kind of vanilla, we call it the Mike Evans khaki pants style quarterback instead of the athletic, talented quarterback because that's what he had with Russ and it didn't work. So there's plenty of reasons why this might not work out. But to just straight up say that he's not a good coach, he was a good coach this year.
I wasn't saying he's not a good coach. I'm just saying I've seen flashes of brilliance from him, but right now he's been a coach that's been away from the game. His teams, the Saints were declining, and if you can only win because you have Drew Brees, that's an issue.
No, he won with Bridgewater. He won with Taysom Hill. Look at the record of Taysom Hill as a starter. He only lost a couple of games. None of those games looked good. But Sean Payton won games with guys that had no business winning with. Jameis Winston. I think Andy Dalton was the backup that year. Or am I just thinking?
Yeah.
It might have been Dennis Allen.
Dalton was the starter and Winston was the backup.
That was last year though with Dennis Allen. I think Dalton was there the previous year also. Or
they both played. I'm pretty sure Dalton started and then he got hurt and then Winston came in and played a bunch.
Yeah. So
Dalton came back in.
So they were both there for 2 years.
And then it was the Taysom Hill when it was neither Winston or Dalton could play. But he's done a lot and he did a really good job, I think, coaching this team this year.
Yeah.
Once again, way above my expectations. I know they didn't fulfill your orange and blue colored glasses, Nick.
No,
that doesn't mean that he
undefeated.
But
I wasn't expecting him to be.
Is that he let him down? I mean, how many times could you say that it was the players that let the Broncos down? There are a lot of. I mean, how many times did Russell Wilson let the Broncos down?
Yeah,
the interceptions in the end zone.
Let's go back to that. The defense, the interception. Everybody has a piece to own.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to push all the blame on Peyton. What I'm saying is, he has it. This is his time now. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
this is your moment. Here you go. Here are the keys to the Ferrari. You crash that sumbitch, turn in the corner. We're gonna have an issue.
It's not a Ferrari, right?
Yeah, I would say it's more like a.
Here's a Volkswagen.
It's like a 90s Mustang.
It's a Volkswagen Cherat. Here you go.
It's like
probably drinking Shiraz with Russell Wilson.
It's like a Honda Civic.
I don't even go that good.
There's it's got potential.
Cavalier.
There's some potential, but it needs a lot.
But nobody races Cavaliers. People race Civics. That's a car that people race.
No, it's just a lawnmower that can race.
Exactly. But people race them all the time. They're super light. And so I think that, if we're going to compare the Broncos to a car.
And let's be honest, the Broncos are going to be super light in the pockets.
Exactly. Like, the more I think about it, the more the Broncos are a fucking Civic. They're like a 90s Civic that somebody stripped all the parts out of so they can try to make it move a little bit faster and gain an edge. Then they'll slowly build it back up.
And you got a body to work with. You got a body to work with.
Keeping it from getting stolen.
Yeah, like it. They blew a rod, so the engine's out, but the core of the car is really good.
Yeah, I mean the frame is still good. It all still works.
Yeah, they just got to put a new engine in there. It's probably going to have a turbo.
At some point, I'm going to get off his case. Like I said, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
Oh my God,
I don't like his personality. I don't like how short he is with the beat. And he's admitted he didn't have that kind of media when he was in New Orleans. Yeah. I get it. You don't have that kind of media because most of them don't give a shit about the Saints. They care about LSU.
Go Tigers.
GEAX.
Yep.
Hey.
Anyway, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for our next coaching conversation.
Well, we'll go ahead and move on because I'm just going to get frustrated anyway.
Well, I'm going to make you more frustrated.
How so?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just dive into it. Okay, so remember last year how I said the Broncos should just hire sacrificial lamb? Nick, Joe, when I was like, I didn't want Sean Payton. I mean, I wasn't a fan of him. I wasn't a fan of Harbaugh. I was like, just give someone a chance, a brand new one. And if they suck, who cares? Because guess what? It looks like, I mean, there was talks about Vrabel getting fired last year. There was talks about Ron Rivera getting fired. There were all these other talks about all these other possible coaches. And I sat here and said, get someone for 1 year. This team is going to suck regardless. And granted, they did not suck terribly. Like I said, Sean Payton did a really good job. But now look at who's available. The Broncos with Mike Vrabel as their head coach. If the Broncos would have had a chance at Mike Vrabel this offseason, if they would have kept that crazy, stupid Hackett idea that I had, which I know was a dumbass idea.
Yeah, that was never going to
be. It was a good idea. But look at what happened in the NFL in the last few days and the coaches who are gone and who is available. The Broncos probably, besides the Chargers, I would say, would be the pick of the litter as far as it goes because of management, if they're moving on from Russ, which they probably are now, and which they most likely would have done anyways because you had a crappy season with a crappy coach or your 1 year wonder rookie head coach worked out.
Yep. But you're right. The lack of a quarterback is a draw. You get to pick your guy.
Yeah. And if the Broncos had gone through that and really not said, but said to everybody, hey, we're hiring a first-year coach. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But where all that smoke came from last year that I was talking about with these coaches on the hot seat, and many of them not getting fired, and then the Broncos waiting till the last minute, playing the Harbaugh game, playing whatever it was. The Broncos could have had a legitimate shot at a guy like Mike Vrabel.
That would have been sick.
Yeah, but it seemed like they were already committed to Sean Payton.
Maybe they were. But
which is the problem.
What a bad decision that ends up being in hindsight. Whereas you could have taken a chance on it could have been a bad decision. It's 1 year. But
you traded a first round pick for that too.
Yeah.
I told you guys last year that I liked Ron Rivera more, that I liked Mike Vrabel more, that I was hoping that those shoes would drop last offseason.
Yeah, we were like
Brian Flores.
Yeah, we all agreed that we didn't want Sean Payton.
Yeah, no, I never wanted Sean Payton because you had to give up a first round pick for the guy. I didn't like the idea of Jim Harbaugh because Sean Payton also had declined in New Orleans. So him kind of being able to show that he still does understand how to do shit last year, that was a big step because especially those first 5 games, it looked like, oh God, he's going to be gone middle of next year and they're going to be kind of in the same boat. And imagine how fun it would have been if we had an entire season of Jerry Rosberg.
That's all I'm trying to I am just trying to point out how you guys said that, It'll never happen. That'll never work. You know,
No,
they'll
no.
never
The
do
only
it
part
those guys
Colin,
like
don't act like we disagreed with the premise at all. We agreed 100%. The only part that was stupid and wrong was keeping Nathaniel Hackett. That was the thing that will splinter.
You would have had the number 1 draft pick in this year's draft.
No, they wouldn't have.
If you kept Nathaniel Hackett, you would have had the number 1 pick in the draft.
And every player demanding a trade. Like, you would have so many more problems right now.
No, Melvin Gordon loved him.
No, dude, everyone's demanding a trade, and you're getting pennies on the dollar for these players. Like, Pat Surtain's demanding a trade, and all you're getting is a third. Because everyone knows he's out, and you could have to cut him because he's not going to play for Hackett. You know, Justin Simmons, all those great players, they're going to be fed up with the entire organization because that's clown shoes right there. But you know, if you accept that the team,
question, bro.
Yeah,
Broncos could have had their pick of the litter if they would have just put out a sacrificial lamb for this.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. It's just it couldn't have been Hackett if they kept Jerry Rosburg.
At that point in time when I said Hackett's name, it was too late.
But even if it wasn't too late, we would have fucking never been okay with keeping Hackett. That was the part that was the only part that we hated, and we kept saying that too.
I would have, because it would have set up your future.
No, it wouldn't have. It would have made it set you back more.
Well, see, everyone loved Hackett though. That's the thing you're missing.
No, they didn't.
They loved Hackett's personality.
No, they did not love Hackett.
They hated losing. They loved Hackett they loved Hackett. Yes,
Packers players loved Hackett.
Running the asylum.
Even when, yeah, exactly. Players got to do whatever the hell they wanted. Even guys, when they were going to play Hackett in the Jets, they talked about how they liked him, you know, how he's a good guy and stuff like that.
Those are Packers players that already knew him.
But there aren't many of those left on the Broncos.
Exactly, yeah.
Jets right now.
Yeah, the only guys that liked him were guys that were with him when they were winning, when he wasn't calling plays.
Nah, there were still guys on the team when they were playing him. I'll find the quotes about. I mean, it's things they said in the media, obviously, but you know they had good things to say about Hackett. It wasn't like, oh,
because he's a good guy.
I know, and that's what I'm saying.
He's like in 30 years, dude's gonna have a pot belly and a white beard, and he's gonna be playing Santa Claus for every fucking NFL team because he's just that nice of a guy. He's gonna sit there, ho 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 ho, and enjoy those little kids.
Yeah, it would have been ho ho ho
That's
ho.
creepy,
Here's your
Nick.
number 1 draft pick, Denver Broncos. Thanks for letting me coach one more year.
No,
They couldn't afford to let him coach one more year.
Exactly. That first round pick, your team is then you're the Carolina Panthers, where everybody hates this, everybody's out, nobody wants to win, nobody knows how to win. Like, yeah, that would have been, you know, just the
Broncos the Broncos still don't know how to win. I mean, they won
exactly. But if you brought in anybody else that isn't going to continuously make everything worse and make everyone hate being there.
Here comes Mike Vrabel, who's led a Tennessee Titans team with freaking Ryan Tannehill and Will not sponsored by Jeans Levis.
Yeah. Will, don't call me.
Here comes Mr. Vrabel as the next Broncos head coach who would chop off his penis to win a Super Bowl.
You want to bite kneecaps? How about penis chopper over here?
Yeah, take that, Dan Campbell.
Yeah, suck it. Suck his chopped
because it's on the floor. Like, seriously, my whole sacrificial lamb, whatever idea, if it worked out great, would have played out perfectly.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
The coaches, I mean, obviously hindsight being 2020, two of the coaches that I loved and was hoping would become available last year, and there were rumors and there were mumblings about it.
Yeah,
have become available now.
Mike Vrabel, those would have been two. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but you know, there's still the possibility of Bill Belichick, which I would hate in Denver. I mean, but we always agree on that. That would be awesome to have a chance at a better guy, because none of us were thrilled with the coaching prospects last year. Yeah, you know, I've still always been on the Eric Bieniemy train because I think he's a good coach, and he's going to get the chance in Washington now, and they'll find themselves a quarterback, and we'll see. You know, that's probably going to be his chance. But yeah, none of us really loved any of the available people. None of the young guys looked, you know, real wonderkindy. And it just felt like, just trading a first-round pick and hamstringing the team even more
Again.
for Sean Payton felt awful. I forget who who the Saints picked with that pick, but I'm sure it would have been cool to have.
The corner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody on the other side of Surtain.
PS2, yeah.
Yeah. So Jaquan McMillan, that would have been sick. But yeah, it sucks that things went the way they went, and hopefully they can get themselves out of it. But I'm not totally against.
They picked Brian Breesy, defensive tackle, Clemson.
They picked the corner first.
Brian Greasy. He's a good
Breesy.
Yeah, he was a good player. He's now a coordinator for I think the Niners.
No, he's a TV play-by-play commentator.
No, he's the quarterback's coach for the Niners.
Is he? I thought he was on TV the other
Brian
day.
Greasy?
He was a commentator for the Bears for a few years, but no, he's coaching. Because he played for the Bears end of his career. Brian Greasy's.
Was he doing a college game the other day? What the hell is going on?
He could be doing both. Let's see. Brian Greasy, football coach.
Quarterback coach for the 49ers, yeah.
That's what I said.
I could have sworn he was on TV the other day.
He might have been.
Well,
okay. Well, I just like I said, I just remembered him being on TV. It sounded like, but like I said, I just want to say that the profit has gone full circle. I told you guys last year, should have just waited it out. Hire someone.
Yeah, we agree.
If they're a rookie and they suck.
Yeah.
I'll find you guys disagreeing. Trust me, I can.
No, we only you kept saying Hackett. The Hackett part was the only part that we thought was bad. But also the Broncos at that time, I don't think they'd be willing to go with another 1-year coach because then you look like the Cleveland Browns. So I could see the Broncos also being like, nah, we're not going to fucking go another 1 year, or the Carolina Panthers, signing a guy for 1 year because then it's harder to sell that to your next coach. Like, no, for real. Yeah, like you're the real one, babe. Those last 2 or 3, they were all stupid, but you're beautiful. You're the one.
But I think
that makes it harder to do.
I think that's where we disagreed with, though, is because if you're getting a guy like Vrabel or even Ron Rivera,
but they're not going to want to come as much because you just fired 3 coaches in 3 years.
I think you have a easier job convincing those guys if you have first-time head coaches who don't pan out. That they'll be able to stay and that you'll.
But you've given them such a short leash. Now these
guys
they only have 1 year.
You've given first-year head coaches short leashes.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Those are still shows an extreme amount of impatience. It shows that you're not willing to give guys a chance, even though Hackett did not deserve a chance. But the other new guy, also that could.
Fangio got like 2 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was
DJ was like 2. He got in the middle of the second.
Yeah, that's still too short for most coaches.
But those are first-time head coaches, and you go to a guy like Vrabel, who is tenured. That I think that's a whole different conversation than you're having because you're like, hey baby, you are the one we really wanted, but Tennessee didn't sign you last year, Tennessee decided to keep you last year, so we were forced to go with this one guy. We were waiting on them to get rid of you. That's why it took so long for us to get a head coach.
Yeah, but that's also
there's your conversation.
But that's also starts.
And then you back up a Walmart's brink truck.
That's like, I didn't love I didn't love that last girl, but I kept her around for an extra year just because I didn't want to be alone, and you were still with somebody, so you're the one I didn't care about. But her and I were done.
I've been waiting on you to be single this whole time.
Exactly. But you kept your old girlfriend and were an asshole. So that's a bad look. It makes it harder. It 100% does. That's why the Panthers haven't been able to get a good coach.
I don't know.
That's why the Browns had to go with the first-year guy in Stefanski, and it worked out because it turned out to be smart. But those things, they look real bad.
Secretly, we always wanted you. That's what it is. Secretly, we always wanted you.
Yeah, but you only believe that if you're stupid. And they don't.
And there are a lot of stupid people that are married out there, Joe.
Exactly. And you don't want to get married to a stupid person.
I think Vrabel would understand it.
Maybe, but even so, it's in the back of your mind. It's like they just fired. That's literally 3 coaches in 3 years. Like, you
3
don't want
first-year coaches.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it
First-year
does.
coaches should get more time than established coaches because they need more time to learn. The established coaches should be able to get things rolling faster.
Yeah, but that's not the way the NFL works.
Yeah, coaches get fired constantly, all the time.
Yeah, but not as much when they're tenured with success.
I mean, as soon as it looks bad for a couple of years, you're gone. Doesn't matter. You know,
well, yeah, a couple of years.
Vrabel only had a couple of years of success, so he's thinking in his mind, you know, if I can't make it look like I did it with Derrick Henry, the best running back in the league, and we carried a mediocre quarterback, and we got pretty lucky. If I can't get that going again, I'm gone in 2 years. That's a scary prospect.
This is his worst year there, though.
The Chargers kept what's his name for like 4 years. So I think it does look bad, but at the end of the day, if you can land the guy, it's awesome.
Los Angeles is cheap. They wanted to get rid of him as soon as they could because they were only going to do it when his contract expired anyway because they weren't going to bring him back. The fact that he got basically raped by the Raiders is the only reason he got out so quickly.
They got Broncos. He got Fangio'd or Hacketted.
I
don't know. There was a lot of potential. You know, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall too. That there was a good chance that this year was going to be the year you could pick up somebody's lost along the way puppy, bring him back in and recuperate him, and raise him back so that he was back to being the happy dog that he was on the sideline. But everybody started to panic after Hackett almost drove the organization into the ground, and they had to do something quick. But again,
they went
this is a new ownership that I don't think they quite understood the circumstances behind getting rid of such early draft picks. They're like, oh, they want a first rounder? Yeah, we got this year to give them, and we got this year if we want to. How many of those do you want? Because we can get another one, right? No, you can't.
You get one every year.
You can't. That's not how that works. Unless you make a really good trade, it's not going to work. And so, ownership had to learn a lot of lessons. And I think these first 2 years are a lot of shit. That was dumb. But now you're stuck with Peyton for now because you're going to give him his full opportunity to run with what he's got. He's got a draft that he's coming up with now. He's got a chance to sit with George and hash out who's running the ship and who's going to make the decisions. If it's going to be Peyton picks the players and Peyton does the contracts, then whatever. I don't care about the paper. What I care about is getting the Broncos back to a point where they are a legitimate organization again. And I talked about this before. I kind of feel like Hackett is going to be, or I feel like Peyton is going to be the John Fox of this organization. He's going to start getting that team right again, but he can't quite do enough of it. And so he's going to get whipped out for somebody that's actually going to be able to turn that corner.
And that's okay if that's how it goes. If you actually get to someone who can, turn that corner and you don't miss out on this ridiculously awesome couple drafts of quarterbacks. I think this year, next year is something that you really can't afford to miss on. So Sean Payton is that guy that's like, no, I want a veteran quarterback. That's worrisome. You can't afford to give him that much time because you need to be able to build for the future. So that'd be great to be able to go from Sean Payton to somebody else who's going to get you over that hump. Because now the players have kind of figured out how to do it, but they've also figured out what they didn't like about Sean Payton's offense and team and how to kind of innovate and be younger. That sounds great. But I don't know. It's just I'm a little concerned they're going to stick with Sean Payton for a couple years too long, or maybe just 1 year too long, and then all of a sudden, you're out from under the Russell Wilson contract. But Shedeur Sanders got drafted by somebody else, and a lot of those guys, Milroe and a lot of those other younger guys are gone.
Quarterback this year.
And then, I think they have to go for something unless, all hell breaks loose and all those quarterbacks get taken in the top 10 and they don't get a chance to. But even then,
in the top 10.
I don't think so either.
Well, I mean, you never don't be so sure. The Raiders have some ammunition to move up. There are teams behind the Broncos that have ammunition to move up in.
I mean, he's right. There are teams that have ammunition to move up. I think there's enough teams though that want other players.
Yeah,
I said, baby, come back.
There he goes.
Yeah,
you can blame it all on me.
Blame it all on my mouse.
There you go. But yeah, no, I was saying I kind of agree. There's a lot of teams that totally can move up and make a run on quarterbacks. We always assume it's going to go that way, and then it always takes a little bit longer. We haven't seen everyone go. Like even Josh Allen, I think, was outside of the top 10. I want to say maybe it was just top 10, but outside that top 5 when the Bills traded up to get him because there was enough teams that had quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about it too here in a little bit. I mean, you look at the Natty too, the national championship, and Penix. Penix stock probably dropped a little bit because he was not firing on all cylinders. He's overthrowing his receivers, thrown into open space where there's absolutely nobody, thrown into double, triple coverage.
Allen was picked 7th, by the way.
7th? Okay, cool. So it was almost topped, but not quite.
What pick did the Broncos have that year?
5. That was Bradley Chubb.
That was Bradley Chubb. Okay.
Yeah, they were offered picks, whatever picks that Buffalo had, which I think were outside the top 10. That's maybe why I'm thinking about it. They were offered 2 first-round picks for that pick of Bradley Chubb.
The Bills moved up from Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so I was mad because I was sitting there like, we're not willing to take one of these quarterbacks anyway, so why not trade back and get multiple guys or take a flyer on that Lamar Jackson kid? He looks pretty good. You could take Vita Vea or Roquan Smith or somebody with that first pick, and then whatever the last one is, just take a quarterback. Fuck it. And yeah, they didn't do that, and I was sad. Now we don't have Roquan Smith or Lamar Jackson.
Like these are the teams not only so drafting around the Broncos, 10 is the Jets, 11 is the Vikings. The Jets easily could take a quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers. Because they're not going to go through the Zach Wilson experience again. They're not going to go through Trevor Siemian. Excuse me?
I thought they had one other kid besides Siemian.
No, they had Zach Wilson. And then they had Aaron Rodgers' favorite backup.
I mean, they had Tim Boyle, but yeah.
That was Aaron Rodgers' favorite backup. They released him.
Yeah, he was terrible.
After his second start.
Yeah.
And then you have the Vikings, who are ahead of the Broncos. Right. What?
So I was right.
Well, he got released in the middle of the season.
That's what I said. They had somebody.
It's not like it.
Yeah, and I said that too. Yeah, I said they
didn't have a kid that was like they could build around. But I think the Jets are going to go for a playmaker to try to make that push with Aaron Rodgers.
They might also trade that number 10 pick to the Las Vegas Raiders for Devontae Adams.
That's very possible.
The Minnesota Vikings need a quarterback. Immediately after the Broncos, you have the Raiders. You have the Saints. The Colts, they don't need a quarterback. They're going to run it back with Anthony Richardson. The Seattle Seahawks. You go down, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a few picks later. The Rams, are they drafting someone to replace Stafford?
Tampa won't need one.
Not yet, no.
Those are all playoff teams, so that can change. This is hypothetical for those last few. But that's already set in stone. The Seahawks, the Saints, and the Raiders are all behind the Broncos, who are all quarterback needy teams that could easily and have a lot more ammunition to move up in the draft to get a guy. So you're not only looking at the teams that are ahead of the Broncos that need quarterbacks, you're also looking at which guys could move up for it.
It's also going to depend on who ends up coaching the Raiders too, because they may be able to drag somebody with them in free agency if necessary.
Maybe. But I mean, I guess that depends on the coach. But I think the Broncos are in a very difficult spot this year to get a quarterback, or at least the quarterback that they want.
They're going to get.
I mean, whether it be Penix, someone might fall, but you're talking about maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th quarterback off of the board at that point.
Yeah, that's what they've always been looking at, sadly.
Yeah.
You have to take May and Caleb Williams out, and then you probably have to take out Jaden Daniels also. But after that, you can, if you have one of those guys that you love, and if any of those 3 guys falls, holy shit, start looking to trade up,
Yeah.
or maybe they fall to you like Mac Jones fell to the Patriots at like 15, I want to say. But they've kind of always been looking at that. So I think they're hopefully anyway, if they're smart, which the scouting department we don't really know, they've been looking at those later guys, and I'm sure they're doing some due diligence on Caleb Williams and Drake May, but they kind of have to know that they're gone. Like that's off the table for the Broncos. But because they actually did lose that game and they're up at 12, they are now in striking distance to be able to get at whichever guy is their favorite. Or maybe they have a guy that they love, but their guy below them on the draft board is actually like, we could win with this guy or whatever. And as long as you get one of those guys that's solid, or like we said, maybe there's a massive run and the Broncos just don't end up getting that because they need to save their picks and they get one of the guys next year that's going to be really good. That's going to make the fan base terrified. It's going to make Sean Payton's seat a whole lot hotter because he's going through another season without a guy for the future. But
and I'm
a good chance.
I'm agreeing with you that they're within striking distance, but I don't think they have that good of a chance because these other teams have much more ammunition. They have a lot more valuable assets to move up. And I think the Broncos are in a really difficult spot this year. This year, I think it's going to be difficult for them to get their guy. I think really it's honestly got to be next year. Anything can happen, but any of these teams that are behind the Broncos just have so much more firepower and so much better things to offer. Unless we're talking about adding Surtain and Simmons and all these guys in there, then maybe the Broncos do because they do have some players that are already proven. I find it very difficult to see the Broncos having the ability more so than those other teams to move up in this draft. Not that they can't, but if I was any other team, I would take their offers over what the Broncos have to offer right now.
Well, it depends on what they're offering.
Well, I just mentioned, like at number 10, if you're the Jets, you get to bring Devontae Adams back with Aaron Rodgers for your number 10 pick to move to 13. What are you doing? Or you have the Broncos offering their pick at 12 and Cortland Sutton.
Well, but that's one spot. That's not three. One spot. 12 and 13? No, that's one.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that that might not make a lot of difference, but it's moving up. The Raiders, if they're a quarterback needy team, the other quarterback needy teams have more ammunition to move ahead of the Broncos. They have better assets to trade.
That's true.
These teams are going to choose the options from the other guys more so than what the Broncos have right now.
I don't know. I think there's a way you can find a way to get to one of those lower picks if you need to. But again, this is all dependent on if nobody falls down either. And I mean, you got a couple quarterbacks out there that already have an injury history. And are those teams willing to roll those dice when there's other teams that have no choice but to roll the dice on those guys?
It's going to take a big trade for the Broncos to move up
ahead
of the other teams. I'm just telling you, the Broncos. It's going to have to be big. Like I'm talking multiple first rounders, like the next 2 years probably.
Maybe they're going to go up like real high, but if they're going to go up just a couple picks, I don't think it will take multiple firsts.
No.
Especially with like that Chicago pick, that second one. Who knows what people are going to be offering them for that? They might just try to move that sooner though, because that really depends on what they're going to do. Like if Chicago keeps Justin Fields, that becomes one more team that's not picking a quarterback ahead of you. So that's 2 picks. Because obviously one of those picks, they're going to trade somebody probably for a quarterback. Because that first overall pick, I think, is going to be a quarterback. That's the one that'll take multiple first-round picks to get. So whoever, maybe somebody in the top 10 that wants to move up and guarantee their guy or whatever.
But once again, this is not it shouldn't take much to move up. But the Broncos don't have the same amount of assets as these other teams do to offer. That's where the issue comes.
But
maybe the Raiders guy is gone and they don't want to move up, and that's not one for them. Yeah, that could happen. But every team in this draft knows or will know that the Broncos are, most likely, I know it's going to be a post June 1st designation, but that they're trying to move up to get a quarterback. And so if they want one, they just have to offer a little bit more than the Broncos. And that's not very difficult to do right now.
Yeah, but I mean, is it really worth playing that chess game too to keep the Broncos from getting a quarterback? So
If it's a guy that they want, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about keeping the Broncos from a quarterback. It's about getting the quarterback.
Yeah, if it's a guy, I'm just saying that if it's the guy that they want, it's much easier for these other teams to get those guys and move ahead of the Broncos.
Yeah, but their picks are also worth less.
You're making it sound like half the NFL is looking for quarterbacks too.
I mean,
all of them
they kind of are.
There's five teams,
in the first round,
there's 6 teams within the Broncos.
Well,
from 10,
they don't know what they're going to do yet in Chicago.
All right, so let's say for the sake of argument, we'll take out Chicago, even though they're still, I think, likely to just move Fields for another first-round pick and just start over. But let's say Chicago doesn't take a quarterback. Second pick is Washington. They're taking a quarterback. Third pick, New England. They're taking a quarterback. Fourth pick, Arizona. You could argue one way or the other. I think if they're smart, they're trading Kyler Murray for whatever they can get, and they're taking a quarterback. But that's 50-50, so you could take them off. But that's still and then the fifth, the Chargers aren't. Sixth, the Giants. I think they're taking a quarterback.
Probably.
I don't think they're going to build around Daniel Jones. I don't think Tommy DeVito is going to be a guy they want for the future. So you have to pray that any of these teams with a premium draft pick decides to go for a free agent instead.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans probably stick with Will Levis. Like that's your best bet to move up.
New coach.
But they like Will Levis a lot, and he's a young, promising, quality quarterback. So like that's one that you don't know because anybody can.
New England, you don't know yet either because you don't know if they're going to keep Belichick.
It doesn't matter, but they're not. They're taking quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have anybody, and they don't have any. Yeah, no fucking way. Bailey Zappi was barely competent. He was just because he was better than Mac Jones does not mean that that's like
he's a Pro Bowler.
That's like saying the Broncos are fine because they have Jarrett Stidham.
So is Tyler Huntley.
And then the Falcons definitely taking a quarterback. Desmond Ridder has been terrible. He wasn't even a high draft pick anyway, so they didn't invest much in him. And then the 9th pick is Chicago again. So that's one where somebody could move up and grab somebody, or Chicago. I don't know. It's kind of fucked. And then the Jets, I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. But I think Colin's right in the sense that teams are going to be looking to move up to around there to get whichever guys are falling. Same with the Minnesota pick. They could go for a quarterback. They could go for a free agent.
They're not re-signing. I doubt they're re-signing Cousins.
No, but that's still like
they got to get a quarterback. So they could.
Yeah, that's like 6 teams, and that's omitting Arizona, which we don't totally know, New York,
Chicago,
and Chicago. So like, dude, there's it's gonna be rough. We're praying that free agency fixes a lot of these teams ahead of the Broncos quarterback problems.
Well,
or they're gonna have to move up.
It could, but like I said, you're I don't know, putting all your eggs in one basket and assuming that everybody in the draft is gonna take every single quarterback available. And I think there's potential for the Broncos to be able to do stuff and move around, and it's not going to take, I know it's going to take a little bit more, but
by the time at January 10th at 7:35 p.m., the prophet has spoken. By the time it gets to the 12th pick in the draft this year, the quarterbacks are going to be off of the board.
All of them, including Bo Nix?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think they're all going early.
All right, I'll take that bet, that joke bet. I guess we could put $5 on it. That Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix, because I'm not counting JJ McCarthy as the top quarterbacks to draft. So if all 5 of those guys are gone by pick 12, I'll give Colin $5.
The prophet is spoken.
And if they're not, then Joe profits off the profit.
They're going. I'm telling you, Nick doesn't like it.
Nick doesn't like it.
Nick really doesn't like it. He's so pissed off right now. He's looking at a way for this not to happen. I'm telling you. I'm telling you that the Broncos are going to have to pony up some big stuff to move into a spot
Pony.
ahead of
Pony up.
Pony. Ahead of some of these other teams because they just don't have the same assets to offer, and that's what's going to hurt. And yeah, maybe the Broncos do it. Do.
I mean, the one thing they do have in their favor is that their pick is more valuable than those other picks because it's higher up. So that does make a little bit of a difference. And if they can package some young, relatively talented guys, I don't want to lose Pat Surtain, though, is my issue. But, like, at the same time, like, this team without a quarterback and Pat Surtain sounds worse than this team with a quarterback with the future. But I would much rather just find a world where you can have – the problem is next year has enough good quarterbacks that, like, Shedeur Sanders with the Broncos just sounds awesome.
Of course it does. It sounds great right now, but we also don't know how next year is going to pan out. So
true.
I've said it. I think the Broncos are playing for the 2025 draft, and I still do, just because of where they landed. Or they're giving up the 2025 draft for this year, which is possible. They might just give up next year's draft to move up and get the guy they want this year, which I think would be a big mistake.
Depends on who that mistake is. We'll jump real quick since we're talking quarterbacks into the Natty before we get kicked out.
Yeah, we kind of just spent the entire time on the Broncos, but that's fine. It's been a really fun week of football, and we have an entire offseason to look at, and I'm kind of okay with that. So welcome back to Broncos talk here on the Undrafted Uncensored.
The game started the way I thought it was going to go. Michigan came out to a quick lead. Washington tried to make it a football game, but then they remembered that they're not as good as Michigan. And when you start the third quarter with a turnover, that pretty much sealed the deal.
Yeah, what the hell happened to the 56 points that were supposed to be scored in this game? Jackasses.
Yeah, I don't know.
56 and a half. That hurt. I can't believe there were like 30 points in the first quarter. And then nothing. It just died. It was like, Michigan was like, I'm tired of running. I've had too many 90-yard.
No, it was only like 17-13 going into the.
That's like 30 points.
Isn't it?
That's exactly 30 points.
I mean, no one said there was going to be math, but Nick,
nobody's going to be math.
Nick, you kind of walked right into it. You should have just gone with what I said.
Yeah.
No, it was like 17-13. Adds those numbers up real quick. Shit.
That's 30.
Anyway.
It just seemed like then they were just kind of, okay, we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Nice try. And you might be right in what you mentioned that Penix, he didn't look great, but once again, this is a Michigan defense that was really damn good this season.
Yeah, Michigan was really good, but he looked really bad too. I don't think it helped that his number one receiver was nursing that ankle too, so I think
they're running back.
Was he. Penix was nursing a little bit of a tweak too. I don't know if it was an ankle or knee, but that's really what can make Michael Penix fall, is that there was lingering injuries that affected his performance, and injuries have been the thing with him. Not as much at Washington, but before Washington, he had injury problems. So that's the thing that I think can hurt him the most, is that they start looking at that game through and kind of an injury lens, so to speak. And that's like that might hurt his draft stock a lot. Because he's had those issues, and he carried that team all the way there. And if the narrative is that he fell apart,
yeah, but he didn't shine in the limelight, and that does not look good. It could shy some teams away from him. I was going to say, do you think he looked bad because of Michigan's defense, or just because he's a lefty? I mean, it really looks so weird every single time.
It does.
There's a left-handed quarterback. It's not that they can't be successful, but it does look strange. So, yeah, I think his stock got hurt. But we going into it, it was just, I don't want to say it was TCU last year, because TCU was not the same animal, but you just knew who the better team was heading into it.
Husky.
Yeah, that is correct.
They're different.
You knew the better team heading in, just like last year, and it was Michigan. Yeah. It was going to take a lot of things, and when the very first drive, you get a 40-yard touchdown or whatever, however long that rush was. That kind of just is we're not in the same punching class as you.
Yeah, that really sets the tone. When you can't stop the run to that level, like, oh, man.
I'm not even their main running back.
Yeah.
That wasn't even Corm. That was the guy. I don't think he scored a touchdown all season. That was his first touchdown, or his first rushing touchdown this season.
Well, he got it at the right time.
Yeah, he got 2 of them right away. Speaking of the right time, Nick.
It's the right time for Colin to take over.
Is it?
See how much money we want.
Could be the wrong time.
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta, wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin, just kind of winging it.
And we are here into the victory formation, everyone's favorite part of the show.
Everyone's.
We talk about the money won, and sometimes it turns into money lost. As this week, 2 of us went 3-1, and 1 of us went 1-3. Let's go over it.
I would also like to really quick take this chance to point out that I won the fans pro football pick'em for the entire season.
For the station, for the station employees, not the overall one.
No, but yeah, everyone that works at the in my opinion, the best sports radio station in town. No, they're the biggest though. I beat them all. So that's all I'm saying is I'm pretty good at some of those picks.
Well, you should learn to carry that onto the victory formation, Joe, because you are the one who went 1-3 this week, as you pointed out.
I hope so. I really wanted that to be the case after I built myself up. Like, it just fucking crashed out immediately.
We start with the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game where, of course, the news came out right after the show that made me want to change my pick. My one loss being that I chose Baltimore. And Pittsburgh actually won that game and found their way into the playoffs with that victory. But both Joe and Nick got that one right. Congratulations, Joe. Get ready for the pit of misery. Dilly. We head to the Texans versus Colts in a game that the Texans, speaking of play, won in the game. How about Houston's first play from scrimmage? Nico Stroud, 75-yard touchdown bomb. Me and Nick both picked the Texans in that game, winning us 18-70.
You mean Nico Collins, not Nico Stroud?
Nope. I mean Nico Collins and CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Okay.
The Bills in our next game defeat the Dolphins in a game that really didn't matter besides who wanted the 2nd seed, which the Bills ended up getting. The Dolphins end up limping into the playoffs, but both Nick and I chose that one correctly. And we finally get to Nick's loss. Michigan beats Washington, as we just spoke, winning me 15-21. But the big winner on the week would be Nick Archuleta at 41.91, bringing his total up to 56.51. I was just $1.55 behind, doing some quick math there. Not sure if it's right. Yeah, it is right.
Doing some quick math here.
I won $40.36, bringing my total out of the negative from the week before to $20.36.
Negatory.
Joe, even with your 3 losses, you only lost $13.24, and you are still in the positive at $1.36.
Oh, I got a whole dollar.
So that is
$1.
That wraps up last week's victory formation, the regular season of the NFL, college football picks, until we get to the end of the year this year and it starts back up again. But get ready for a whole lot of WNBA, XFL, whatever, USFL.
USFL?
No, it was a USFL.
UFL, I think is what it is.
UFL, yeah. Get ready for some UFL, some playoff pick 'em. We got plenty in store.
Hockey.
Go ahead.
Hockey.
All the normals. Ping pong when we get to it.
Spring training baseball.
Ping pong.
There's the spring training baseball. Hey, just remember my spring training bet of Chris Bryant hitting more home runs in spring training than the regular season was almost right.
Yeah.
It really wasn't that far off. So
No, it wasn't.
That's true. You know, almost counts. This is horseshoes and hand grenades.
It is. It is. Almost
So
almost on my parlays. Like, I got to check what's going on in these games tonight. So that means it's time to go.
All right. Nuggets tonight, Avalanche tonight. Thank you, boys, for joining me. Thank you, Michael Spillin and everybody over at e5280sports.com for having us, hosting us. We love you guys. Make sure to check out all the other shows on there as well. Sorry for my distractions today, but little work stuff going on behind the scenes here for everything else. So I apologize for being in and out a little bit tonight. But tune in Friday. We will go live.
Friday morning, 10 a.m.
In the morning.
Yeah.
Get your coffee, get your donuts, get your breakfast sandwich, and tune in to the boys as we try to wake up.
Yeah, come get some morning wood with us. Just wake and bake.
I'll be doing all of that because I'm broadcasting from work.
Yeah, other morning cliches. Colin will be baking pastries.
Colin Zanker and Joe Goodwin. I'm Nick Archuleta. This has been the Undrafted Uncensored. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Bye.